Welcome back to episode 2 of HDR Virtual Tool Masterclass with Ricoh Theta Z1 and professional mirrorless camera like the Sony A1 right here or the Sony A7 IV. Today, we will cover the missing Ricoh Theta Z1 tutorial, bracketed HDR editing using Photomatix. So, you have more control of the HDR look instead of auto blend within the camera using DualFisheye Plugin. Using Photomatix can make your final result look more natural instead of that HDR look. We will even cover how to upload your 360 photo virtual tour on Facebook. If you do not want to spend extra money on another HDR software, I will also cover the exposure blending techniques in Photoshop, which will achieve a similar result with more refined control. This is a technical tutorial, but the knowledge I share here will dramatically increase your virtual tour quality. So let's learn. Hey, what's up everybody, it's your boy Hugh here from Creator Up. If you have not already, please watch the Theta Z1 HDR tutorial with the DualFisheye plugin right here first. That tutorial only covers how to use the internal HDR blending. It is very good and very easy to use, but there are two drawbacks. It takes longer doing capture on set blending the HDRs, and you have no control over how the HDR looks. So every Theta Z1 DualFisheye photo look kinda the same, the hyper-realistic polished look. The white balance is usually off as well, a common issue of HDR blending. So a more professional way to do Theta Z1 with DualFisheye plugins is actually do a night bracketed HDR photo without auto in-camera blending. If you say more than half the time in capture. Here are the DualFisheye settings. Bracketed 9. You can also set up manual stop of exposure based on the environment to have a more fine-tuned control without using the DualFisheye plugins. That is totally up to you, how much time you want to spend on set. Then in post-production, you will have a folder of 9 DNG images. Drop them all in directly inside Photomatix. Photomatix will detect your exposure bracket. Go ahead and click Next, choose Merge option. Uncheck Align Source Image if you have moving people or object in the scene, like in a tourist attraction with lots of people moving around. You can enable Remove Ghost option to remove ghosting. A very powerful feature for HDR photographer. I don't use it here as this is an indoor interior virtual tour. Check Reduce Noise and drop down Use All Source Images to really help reduce the noise in Theta photos. Make sure to check Reduce Chromatic Aberration as well. This is another advantage compared to Theta Z1 in-camera HDR. They usually have a crazy amount of purple fringes. You can see that in lots of the not so professional virtual tour. You can even spot that in some of the sample work by people who are offering paid courses on virtual tour creation. You better watch out who you learn this from. In the raw conversion option dropdown, you can even set the white balance manually here. Then go ahead and merge to HDR. You can set batch processing in Photomatix for your entire tour, which will save hours of manual work if you are only using Adobe Lightroom. Under Automate Batch Processing, set the folder of your entire tour. Tell Photomatix your bracketing selection for Theta Z1 is 9 images at a time. Then you can pick a preset here and start the automation. Talking about preset, let's take a look at the image we just merged. The advantage of using Photomatix is its preset library to save you time. I really like their interior selection on their interior virtual tour, which look really realistic. You can adjust more settings here. If your images are already stitched, like using QCam 8K or Insta361X2, you can check the 360 image option. It will not create a stitch line. Photomatix Pro is the only HDR software that works directly with 360 photo without any stitch line. I will pick the balance presets right here and click next. Here, you can also add sharpening on your image. If you do not want to use Adobe Lightroom, you can add sharpening right here and use the Theta Z1 standalone stitcher, which is detailed in this tutorial right here. So you don't even need to go through any Adobe product to have the final 360 image. Most professionals though use Adobe Lightroom, so I will not sharpen here. Open the output image in Adobe Lightroom Classic. It is already well balanced with a very natural look. The beauty of Photomatix is it does not have HDR artifact like the unnatural color cast right here. We'll do actual chromatic aberration to remove more CA right here. Under detail, we add sharpen to the image. The amount is about 100 as Theta Z1 take very soft image in DNG. Then you hold down Command in a Mac or in a PC to draw the masking slider until you see only sharpen the detail you want but not the noise. Great! Now go ahead, right click on the image and edit in Ricoh Theta stitcher.exe. If you don't see the option, please refer back to my first Theta Z1 HDR tutorial right here. Usually, Theta Z1 Stitcher does a really good job in auto, as you see right here, so just go ahead and render it out. Upload on Facebook as a 360 interactive photo. There are usually two ways to inject 360 meta into your 360 photo, so Facebook will recognize it as a 360 interactive photo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go visit my official Facebook page right here and facebook.com/360creator and check out some of my personal work. Facebook is a great way to get exposure of your 360 work. As you see right here, my photo usually get thousands of likes. You can even click this dot here and say post. Then you can watch it in your Oculus Quest 2 VR headset under your saved item on the Oculus browsers. Way number 1, use Photoshop. If you have Adobe Photoshop, this is really easy. Open the stitching output photo in Photoshop under 3D, spherical panorama, new panorama from selected layers. Now, your photo become 360. Go to again under 3D, spherical panorama, export panorama, and export it as a JPEG. Then you can upload this as a regular photo onto Facebook and it will turn into 360 interactive photo on Facebook. Facebook had an upload limitation of 60 megabit for 360 photo. If your photo is more than 60 megabit, you might just render out as a regular 360 JPEG under 60 megabit in size and inject meta manually. Way number 2, download this free software called Exif Fixer. Drop in your 360 photo here and hit add meta. If you inject the necessary meta to work on Facebook as a 360 interactive photo. This is a great way to add meta if you are using Affinity Photo or you are using direct export from Photomatix using camera like the Coolcam 8K or Insta201 X2. Exposure blending. If you do not want to spend extra money on Photomatix or other HDR software, you can also use a technique in Photoshop called exposure blending. This is actually what the Pro do as well to get a more fine-tuned result without any HDR artifacts. It is time-consuming though, but let me show you how. Open the 9 bracketed photo in Lightroom under Development, select all 9 images, right-click, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop, reorder your layer and make sure the brightest image stay on top and the darkest image stay in the bottom. For 9 auto bracketed photo of Theta Z1, I only use the middle 5 photo to save time. Feel free to use all of them if you have a more dramatic lighting scenario. I go ahead and delete the top 2 and the bottom 2 layer to just save some time. Now, move the second layer on top, go to Layer, Layer Mask, and hide all. Now select the second layer and go to Channels tab here. Control and click the RGB layer to make a selection. Hold Ctrl or plus Shift on a PC or Ctrl plus Command Shift on a Mac and click the RGB layer again to refine your selection. Now you have a selected mask or safe area. You can go back to the layer, click the hide all mask, make sure your foreground color is white, pick the brush tool, and make sure your flow is around 30 to 40%. Now go ahead and paint the highlight to bring back the overexploded area. Before and after, before and after. You see now the window detail are back and your shadow is still super low noise, which is great. Now repeat the same step on all the layers. The only difference is when you refine your selection using the Ctrl plus Alt plus Shift and click, you can do it multiple times depending on the brightness of the scene and what you want to bring back. If you make a mistake, just switch the foreground color to black and paint it back and fix it. It is that easy. In the last layer, I usually use the Ctrl plus Alt plus Shift click like more than 10 plus times to really narrow my selection on only the window area and paint the detail back in. Look, the result is amazing. The room is bright and the windows are clear instead of blown out with no noise in the shadow. The best part is, it is not HDR, so no HDR artifacts whatsoever. It gives us the most natural look. The only downside is very time consuming. You will get a way easier process if you just capture this with a professional mirrorless camera like the SONY A1 right here instead of the Ricoh Theta Z1. The rest of the process is the same as above. Go through Lightroom with Theta Stitcher and inject metadata for publishing on Facebook. Thank you for watching another in-depth tutorial on professional HDR virtual tour creation. As you see, the post-editing using cheap consumer camera like the Coolcam 8K, Insta361X2 or even the Theta Z1 is very time-consuming or can be very expensive. Photomatix really make the process easier, but the best way is still use a professional DSLR or a mirrorless camera like the SONY A1 right here or the Canon R5. So the next tutorial, we will be back on HDR Virtual Tour Masterclass with mirrorless camera. We will focus on PT GUI HDR workflow instead of using Theta Stitcher, Photomatix, Lightroom, and Photoshop. We will replace everything with only PT GUI Pro, and you will see how much time you can save in post-production by using a professional camera. Again, you can see the result already now in episode 1 right here. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, support us so we can continue to help the professional virtual tour community. Free with love. My goal is to help you make money with great high quality works instead of work that hurt the client's expectation of what a good virtual tour really is. Bad quality virtual tour hurt the entire industry, and less client will want to order virtual tour again in the future. So you are doing your part to help the community to grow by continue learning and growing your skill set. Together, we can create jobs for everyone and raise the virtual tour bar higher. I will see you in the next virtual tour masterclass episode. Ciao! Maya Angelou famously said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel." The ability to make your audience feel love or hate, joy or despair, fear or enjoyment had never been more at our fingertips than now with virtual reality 360 storytelling. If you have ever wondered how to make a film, documentary or fictional piece using this new medium that creates an emotional impact, a feeling that they will never forget, then please come join me as it is my mission to give you this power to touch, to inspire, and to create. In this 360 VR filmmaking masterclass, we will give you a framework to work from as a storyteller or filmmakers using your familiar language. No matter what your skill level is in immersive production, you can take away a wealth of knowledge from some of the world's leading experts in the field. We will cover practical topics like fundraising, client communication, budgeting, scripting and storyboarding, directing, blogging, set and space design, camera and shooting, lighting, spatial audio, DIT, stitching and editing, and even distribution in the entire VR filmmaking ecosystem. I hope this course will serve as your go-to guide on VR filmmaking, so you can go out there and create, no matter if you are a VR producer, director, camera operator, or VR enthusiast.